They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
All right, hello everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome back to us to Asterix and Obelix with Scummer and Hissy. We just thought we'd do a little something for Remembrance Day at the end of that. Do you want to speak any more on that before we jump into what we're going to do, Hissy, and have a bit of fun?
I think I am incredibly grateful this Remembrance Sunday more than anything else. And I think I tweeted out about half an hour ago to anyone who saw it, and I'm just going to read that tweet because it sums up what I'm thinking today. That it's a very poignant, wonderful thing to spend today knowing that we're in a position where a blow's being struck democratically and relatively peacefully against the rise of neo-fascism in 2020, and how wonderful a thing that is, that it would not have been possible without the sacrifices that came centuries, in the centuries beforehand. And I will say this is not, we've very deliberately avoided jingoism and nationalism because this is for all the fallen, that we said that, and we agreed on that immediately. So that's just our little tribute.
Yeah. That you've pretty much summed my feelings up there, and we will leave the lest we forget banner going throughout the stream today. So Hissy, been a week, isn't it? It's been an interesting week.
It's been a hell of a week. This week has been a year. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
It's been a hell of a year.
And so not only, but the important thing is the big news this week. The big news.
Go on. I'll let you say it.
For the first time in history, Southampton Football Club are top of the Premier League. Is that not the greatest news ever? Now,
yes,
we're not going to be there. We're not going to be there in about an hour. I will say that much. We're not going to be there for much more than an hour. But I will say this. Whoever runs Southampton Football Club's social media account is a fucking genius, because they, on Friday when it happened, because we're only like 8 games into the season, or 7 or 8 games into the season, they put the picture of the Premier League table with Southampton Football Club on top, and the comment was, "Stop the count." I think that was fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
So
Stop the count.
Oh,
right
and yes, and the Cheeto in Chief is gone as well, which I think
that's also news.
That's a good thing.
There was like some big thing going on in America.
Yeah. I was afraid we were going to have to dust the red coats over and take the colonies back, because I was a bit afraid they wouldn't be able to govern themselves. But anyhow, we've got in the chat. We've got Dave's here, Amiga Nuts is here, Hopswatch, good to see you. Ring, of course, Sammy Jenkins, Mark Caesar, Robert X, of course Hissy's here, and of course I'm here. So it's a good little one. So
Robert X, Pizza Hut could give pineapple pizzas for free and I still wouldn't want it.
Good stuff. Right, Obelix and Co. I have been feeling this, and I have been absolutely hyping this, because this is my absolute favourite.
I can't stop grinning at it. It's brilliant.
Oh, the Asterix books. And I think you've already said what I was going to ask. How good was this, Hissy?
This was fantastic. I love it. It's as political as last week's, but it's not problematic because it's not aimed at people. It's aimed at economics and policy, and it's fun.
Yeah, it's a
And I
very
love
good.
it. And it's
It's a
and I
lot of
think
good
you're
fun
gonna
here.
get a lot of mileage out of this one because I know you're up on your economics and your economic theory.
Not that much actually. I forget an awful lot of stuff, but there's some definitely. I did note there's some definitely good little digs at like. I think partially at Keynesian economic, but you got to remember this is written at a time when we were everything was sort of swapping in from Keynes to this sort of neoliberal sort of monetarism kind of thing that we've got today. This was about that sort of period of time when this was written. So it got there's some interesting little takes on that, which I'll try and get into a little more depth of where I'm thinking on this as we do this. But I think right now, let me find the Kindle thing and bring this up. And we'll go jump straight into the first page, shall we? Are we up on screen? Yes, we're up on screen. Brilliant. Now, we start off in the fortified Roman camp of Totterum. It says that discipline is fairly lax. As you can see here, they're not. You get the feeling that they're not.
They're not marching up and down, are they?
No, they're not looking. They're taking it easy. They're you see they're they're not clean. None of them are clean shaven. They're not
dirty. Like I know a few people who've either served in the military or have that sort of mentality of regimented life, and they would flip if they saw this. I know one fella who's very into his sort of regimented, everything's got to be in its place, and this would just horrify him.
Okay, now as we go down here, though, we got the sentry again, hardly in uniform at all. It's our relief, boys. It's our relief. And the centurion there, who looks kind of more like Ramsay Nesbitt than a Roman centurion, sort of open the gates. And it's I love this. Hey, Centurion Scrofulus. It's them, all right. And you see who's marching in now. You see a totally different sort of Roman centurion. There's, I am Centurion Ignoramus Ave. So, hi, I'm Centurion.
Yeah, Ignoramus. All right. This is going to be fun.
So what a relief. Not in uniform there, Centurion Scrofulus. Well, we hardly ever go out, so we don't bother to dress up. And then we get there, we just forward march.
Yeah,
and then
left.
Yeah, that's a bit more. And so what we get here is he says, look, word of advice, mate, take it easy and wait for your relief to come. Ignore any provocation from the local Gauls. They're crazy and they're also invincible. So this is why they've just been sitting around lazing about. Really, they've had they decided they're not going to bother with the Gauls. Just sit there and wait for your relief force to come and relieve you, and be on your merry way. But of course, he's Centurion Ignoramus here. I have every intention of bringing those Gauls to heel. That will please Julius Caesar, and I do not want to stay a centurion my whole life long. So, well, sounds like your life won't be there that's all that long. Get moving, lads. So they go off on their merry way. And meanwhile, here we got Asterix sitting in a tree. Looks quite excited by what he's seen, and he starts running back to the village. So, this is great. This is great. And then runs into Obelix. This is what's great off Obelix? Oh, nothing. You know. Now they're all huddling around here. Oh, watch out! Here he comes. They're keeping something from Obelix here, aren't they, Hissy? Yeah, absolutely keeping something from Obelix. So they're all giggling behind his back. He's what's bitten them.
And what amuses me, the Full Metal Alchemist. That's not his name. Fully Automatic.
Yeah.
And Unholics are in on it together.
Yeah.
Someone together. Like, what are they hiding?
Yeah. Brand new old chap just arrived. Watch out! Here comes Obelix. What's brand new and just arrived? Says, not these fish anyway. And Asterix is now Obelix is going up to Asterix. What is going on? Wherever I go, people just go around going tee hee hee. Fully Automatics even passed remarks about unhygienic fish, and instead of fighting, he just went tee hee hee. And then Asterix goes off giggling as well. Obelix being he's a little bit unhappy now. Them and their secrets. We don't care, do we, Dogmatics? Oh, skipped a page, unfortunately. Back again. Some poor guy gets Obelix's wrath here. And
I swear that looks like Cacophonix's day off.
Yeah, it kind of does a bit. He says, like, Asterix, I think he suspects something. Shall I go now? He says, yep, everything's ready.
Everything's ready. I love this image. This top image is just fantastic.
Oh, it's brilliant, yeah.
And as Ring put in the chat, insert comment on parade ground readiness versus action readiness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. So he's giving himself his little speech here now. Men, we are here to stop the local inhabitants flouting the authority of Rome. We shall bring that little ghoulish village to heel, and we're not standing for any nonsense. Friends, Romans, countrymen, we shall cover ourselves with glory. Little Julius Caesar reference there.
Yeah. There's a goal at the camp gate, Centurion, sir. Maybe they sense things were going to change. Open the gates. I want to make one comment about this before we move on.
Yeah.
That image right there of that Centurion, that's why you don't skip leg day. Look at it.
Yeah. So now, well, Gaul, come to surrender. Asterix's response is more like so he's like, catch that midget, we'll make an example of him.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure that language is politically correct, but
not nowadays, but
no. So yeah, apologies for any offense that causes to anyone. It's not intended.
I'm just reading that. I'm just reading that as it was, but
yeah.
He's like, so he's Asterix is running away from them. He said, they're after me. They're after me. Who's after him? Oh, Romans, brand new Romans. Just this moment arrived. Obelix is like, leave them to me. Leave them to me. And I love the way this.
Yes, we will. They're all for you. All for me?
And he's, of course, you great goof. It's your birthday. We're giving you Romans as a present. So that's why you've been all whispering in the corners and getting to go and tee hee hee. Now, vital statistics. That's right. Go on, Obelix. Your present's waiting. It's like, I love this way. He's just
the present's delivering itself here.
Yeah, I love this. Ben, we shall raise the village and those insolent ghouls to the ground. Charge! There aren't many of them. It's a gift. Oh, you have no idea, my friend.
You have no idea. And Dogmatic's coming along.
Yeah, even though it's Obelix's birthday present, he's not going to let Dogmatics not have some fun.
And this is hilarious.
He's bashing him all out and they're singing happy birthday to him.
This is perfect. I love it. And
of course, the Centurion. Let me just zoom in on the Centurion here.
It's some of the faces as well of the soldiers. Oh, Dogmatic's having his fun. But some of the
Yeah.
faces of the soldiers as well, like the detail in that is brilliant.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what Obelix is like about all those little skipped page, about all those little collections of Roman helmets he has. He's added quite a few to his collection today.
I have a theory.
Mm.
Obelix mines and creates menhirs, so he's got space to store his Roman helmets.
Possibly. Yeah, very possibly. I love this. Such a lovely present, so elegant and tasteful, so thoughtful of you. I really don't know what to. He's about to sob here, and then and he says, "Now, Obelix, don't cry. You're oversensitive. Come along. There's a feast. We're waiting you. Lots of wild boar." I love this. Happy birthday. He didn't even blow out the candles.
That's brilliant. Like, to the point, even the soldiers are just joining in.
Yeah. Now, so now what, Centurion? We go back to camp, send word to Caesar, and we wait for our relief. So he's basically going back to. He's decided. Yeah, discretion's the better part of valor here. Actually, let's just go back and wait for the.
I will point out.
Let someone else deal with the problem.
Yeah, Robert has put in the chat the Romans didn't use spears as an attack weapon, but as a throwing weapon.
That's correct.
But look at those Romans. Do they look like they stood half a chance of even the opportunity of throwing a spear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Although you are right, absolutely.
You are right. Yeah, the pilum was a throwing weapon, but let me go back to the page. Let me go back a page on this when they marching in. Yeah, see, he's right. Yeah, because they got them. They have got them there as sort of
they're holding them low where they should be holding them high, ready to throw.
Yeah. Now in Rome,
again with the architecture drawings. Can I just?
Yeah.
Like that is actually recognizable as a Roman building.
Mm.
That's the Senate. If you go up those stairs and there's like a square in the middle, and I've seen that building kind of from that angle, what it looks like, and the back of it looks out on the Roman Forum. If it's the building I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
And it's at least those steps and that bit there, part of the architecture. It is a mixture of a couple of different Roman buildings, but that bit there in the middle leading up to the steps with the two buildings on either side, that's exactly what that is.
Okay. So we're in Rome and we've got a very unhappy Julius Caesar right now. And he's one man, one solitary Gaul managed to defeat and demoralize my crack troops. This is too much. These Gauls are making me look ridiculous. We can't go on like this, by Jupiter. Well, I'm waiting for suggestions. And so you what you listen to now is a few of Caesar's cronies, sort of sycophants. And you can just sort of see what's going on. Well, we could send the entire army, yes, but we mustn't leave the frontiers unguarded. And suppose we set up a commission to study the problem. Good idea, with subcommittees to consider all the various aspects. Let's have a working lunch to discuss it. Hissy,
is anyone else getting proper Humphrey vibes from that one
I was
square?
just about to say that. Is anyone else thinking yes, minister? When they're
yes, minister.
I know this is before yes, minister even was a thing. But that's immediately what I thought of.
Exact same vibes.
It is that vibe.
Let's set up a committee.
Let's set up a committee with subcommittees.
And then let's have a meeting to decide when we're going to have a meeting to decide when we're going to hold a committee and who's going to be on the committee, and a meeting to decide when a meeting's going to be, and but then we need a meeting to decide when that first meeting's going to be. So nothing ever gets. It's that they're all bureaucrats, basically.
Bureaucracy, yes. And then we get a good. Then all of a sudden we get a good suggestion here. They are strong, so we must weaken them. They have nothing to do but fight, so we must keep them busy some other way. And I love the name of this. Come here, Kai. It's preposterous. I love. Just how would you set about weakening the Gauls with their magical strength? And let me just highlight this joke for a second. Coming up now, because I love this. Go on. let's see what they taught you at the Latin School of Economics. Or have they got this highlighted LSE?
Yeah.
Should I explain that one away? Should I?
So this is a reference to the London School of Economics,
Yeah.
which is fairly famous for what it is, but it's also not considered one of the sort of posh universities. It's nowhere near. It's very much, it's where working class people go to take evening business classes. Relative to somewhere like Cambridge or Oxford. And again, if you've seen Yes Minister, you will have seen this joke a billion times because the minister went to the London School of Economics.
Yes, and all the civil service bureaucrats are all Oxford and Cambridge.
Yeah.
You know,
and the standing joke is in the first episode, he says, I went to university too. And they look at him and they say, oh, really? Which one? Cambridge or Oxford?
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, the London School of Economics, and they just look at him like they've never, like he's mad.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. I need to grab some painkillers actually, so I'm going to be off screen for a little while. So
no, that's fine. And then this next comment here: we will enfeeble them and keep them busy. We must corrupt them. If an economist ever tells you that something is designed to keep you busy,
yeah,
okay, it's an alarm bell. Okay, it's really there's a great line, and it's actually from The Godfather about lawyers, but it definitely applies to economists. Where the Godfather sits down and he's talking to the man who is talking to Tom Hagen, and he says, you know, a lawyer can steal more money with a pen and a degree than any gangster with a gun.
Very true.
And it's very true of economists as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, it's true of any sort of business people, but.
So. You think so? He's saying that he's going to use the profit motive, gold, the profit motive to keep them busy. And he said, "Do you think that'll work? Look around you, oh Caesar. Now you look at Caesar's sycophants here down in the bottom."
Am I the only one who looks at that image the way it's drawn there, and I'm thinking a little bit of the Last Supper?
Yeah,
just look at the way the artwork's laid, the way they're laid out in the image.
Let me zoom in on it for a second, but if you. Yeah, the point being, you look at them. Yeah, I can see what you're saying, but if you look at them a bit, you can tell they've all been. They look like they've been living it up a bit. They're all been overindulging. I think would be a good way, perhaps a kindest way of saying that.
Yeah. Also, like whoever, if that was a photograph, I would be shooting the photographer because one of them's got a torch growing out of his head.
And you listen to him. Nonsense. That young Noel has no experience. Don't listen to him, oh Caesar. What we need is a think tank.
Oh God!
And
you are a think tank. Look at you.
Yeah, we must oppose force with force. Remember our campaigns, Caesar. We made the whole world bow before our legions. And I love that. I remember all right, Licinius. You were a brave, athletic young tribune. You brought back a fortune from our campaigns, and look at you now. See what all your gold, your villas, your orgies have made of you. You're decadent. And he makes that little clap back at him, and you, a think tank, all you ever think of is tanking up.
And then the response, lunchtime. But I will point out as well, Licinius has got a very visible injury.
Yes.
Which we can only presume is some kind of war wound.
Possibly, yeah. Well, I think we're reading too much into that. Whatever it is, he's been drawn.
I don't know who Stephen Munchin is, Amiga Nuts, but if I just describe them, cool. I don't know the name.
Yeah.
Gout. There's a point, Dave. It's probably gout. Yeah.
Well, more than likely, yeah.
Which, gout is caused by too much rich food and not enough.
Generally is caused by overindulging, yes.
Although it can be a symptom of diabetes long term.
Yeah.
Diabetes
I've had
without all the extra rich food.
I've had a friend who's suffered with gout. It's really, you wouldn't think it to look at him either, but he's suffered with it. It's just really quite a horrible thing to get, really.
Yeah, it's nasty. I've seen people suffering with it.
He says, "You really think those you can turn those great crazy ghouls into something like that?" And he says, "Yes, Caesar. Mark my words, they'll soon have too much on their minds to go fighting. He says, but I'll need gold, lots of gold. You shall have unlimited credit. Get to work, preposterous." You see him off on his chariot there.
Unlimited credit. Can I just... This is quite clearly a pre-2008 era of irresponsible lending.
Yeah, I'd say though, it's the real height of the irresponsible lending happened in the years leading up to 2008, not necessarily during this time. But it was it wasn't the sort of era of ninja loans yet, as they sort of became known.
But also, can I just point out as well, I do like that this book does not handwave how long it takes to travel. Which is on the next page.
So several days
later. Because even modern media has this habit. You watch any modern, especially American TV shows, they do it. One scene they'll be in, say, somewhere like Kansas. The next scene they're somewhere like California or Virginia.
New York City or whatever.
New York City. And it's handwave that it took them 2 hours to get there. You can't even do that in 2 hours on a plane. And apparently they drove there and they haven't slept and they haven't eaten, but they're totally fine. So I do like that this, pays attention to things like that, because that annoys me a little bit.
My favourite example of that is actually one of the Michael Bay Transformers movies, that they were in a car chase in Greenwich, and 5 minutes later they're in Gosport, which is in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Well, and then they tried to. Most people wouldn't notice it. It's just something, because I noticed this thing that they I think they were trying to make out that the submarine museum was in London when it's not. It's in Gosport. So
it's not. And you try and get across London that quickly is not going to happen. Even with an Oyster card, it doesn't happen. Even on the ring road, it doesn't happen.
Sometimes the quickest way to get around London is actually walking.
Yeah,
it can be. Like
my dad went to London last week for a funeral, and he said an hour and a half to drive 2 miles. And I was just like, why didn't you get out the car and walk? And he was like, if I'd not been in my funeral suit, I would have.
Yeah. So now, so he's asking. So he's here. He's asking about the. Now look at the Roman here, old ignorant. If you look at all the habits that are setting in. Same as the last garrison there.
Sandals, not shaving.
Yeah.
Uniform's a mess. He's drinking on the job.
Yeah.
The other soldiers are gambling in the corner.
Yeah, right next to their commanding officer. So yes, he's a fat man, often goes out for walks with a menhir on his back and a little dog at his heels. You might run into him in the forest, so watch out. Even a little dog is dangerous, as he found out himself. I'm off, you men. Don't leave camps. It's not likely. We're not leaving till we're relieved. So
soon afterwards. And can I point out as well, the little, is that like a deer or a rabbit or something looking out of the tree? A dogmatic.
It looks like a rabbit or a hare.
Yeah.
Something. It looks like that. So he's picked up a scent, and look who's here in the corner is old preposterous. I love this. Oh, how beautiful! Just look what's behind you. Behind me, but there isn't anything. Yes, there is. That menhir. Oh yes, I forgot. It's only a menhir. He's magnificent. Where'd you find it? He says, no, I didn't find it. I made it. I make menhirs and I deliver them. Do you deliver many? He says, no. Once people have one menhir, they don't want any more. Menhirs don't wear out very fast. Which is, yep. How much is it? He says, I don't know. I normally swap something for them. He says, I'll buy it 200 sestertii. And I love this Obelix sestertii. Well, yes, having money's a good thing. You can buy all sorts of things to eat. He says, you'll be the richest man in the village. That means you'll be the most influential.
Oh, power equals money. Now we know what the plan is.
Yep.
Yeah. Because
Here
he might
you
not
are.
care about money, but he cares about influence. We've well established that Obelix has a bit of an ego.
I love the fact that he just hands it off to him here. It's a little heavy for me to deliver to the camp of Totterum, and there's that Obelix then is about to bash him. He's like, no, I'm not a legionary. I'm only staying there. I'm a menhir buyer. Let me explain. A menhir buyer and a menhir delivery man are just made to do business.
Yeah.
And we're heading up
Rings put menhirs are not designed for planned obsolescence. No, they're not. And the reason, and that proves that Obelix at least started out as a.
Hey, Granny.
Hiya, Granny. Obelix started out at least as an honest businessman.
Yep.
No planned obsolescence there.
Yeah. And now he got look at that. What, the relief? No, the big fat brute. And look at it. They all go into hide. Every one of those legionaries is in hiding now in their tents. Where is Obelix's first question? Where are they all? No, I just leave your menhir here, and here's your 200 sestertii. He's like, these Romans are crazy. He says, and I'll buy all the menhirs you can deliver. Now they got a menhir here, and it says, what is it? It says, this is the end of all our troubles. And so Obelix heads back to the village, and Asterix is like, I'm waiting for you, Obelix. Want to come hunt some boar? He says, no. He's like,
are you all right?
You all right?
Aren't you well?
And I love that. And straight away, he's like, I'm perfectly well. I've got work to do. I don't have time to fool around. And then I can't believe this. He blows off dogmatics. That's go and play with Asterix dogmatics. I'm busy. Wow. So next day, look at that, the relief. The
brute.
Yeah. I love this Obelix. Is there anyone ever around here? I love the way he says, here's 400 sestertii. He says, no, 200. He says, oh, prices are going up. Well, that Obelix, where to? He says, no. He says, it's because of supply and demand, the state of the market. Well, it's all rather complicated, but it all leads to galloping inflation. And don't forget, I'll buy all the menhirs you can make. So now, he's going back. He's going back with quite a bit here. He smells some nice boar here, so he goes up and asks to Asterix. I'm hungry. Do you think well, when you're not so busy, you can go hunting boar again. The forests are full of them. You can tell he's annoyed. Asterix and Dogmatics is growling at him. You can tell he's annoyed them.
I mean, 200 sestertii is not a small amount of money, okay? It's really not.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Let me see if I can find a modern day.
Yeah, now he's doubled it to 400 sestertii a menhir. So
current, and I will say I'm pulling this straight off Chorus, so it might not be entirely reliable. But one sestertius was the price of half a litre of olive oil, which is approximately what, a $5 today for halfway decent olive oil.
Okay, so So
let's say extra virgin olive oil. Yeah.
okay. That's the
If you
olive
buy it,
oil
it's about
price.
£8 for half a litre.
Yeah, it's about well, it depending on what it is.
Yeah.
between £5 and £8 was a. So we'll say, should we just say something like 6? Okay, as a round number.
Yeah. 6. Okay.
Somewhere in between. So we'll say 6 for argument's sake.
Yeah. So 200
6,
to 30 is £1,200.
mm-hmm.
He's clearing,
And now he's cleared. Now the prices has doubled because of the inflation that the guy's telling him about.
Yeah, he's already made
2,400.
36. He's made 3,600 in 2 days. That's more than most people make in 3 months after tax.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea of the kind of money he's suddenly come into here. So you can see why he got just a little bit distracted.
Yeah. Now he's been blown off by Asterix here, but he's got his money, and love this. Oh, it was one of the other ghouls in the village. How beautiful analgesics! Just look what that's behind you. It's only a boar. I know it's a boar, you fool. Let me have it. You crazy? Here, you can use this, and you'll be able to go and buy some things. So he hands him a handful of coins, and I'll buy all the boars you can deliver. You'll be the second richest man in the village. Tomorrow I'll pay you 2 hand footfalls because of prices are trotting up through the marketplace and getting blown up in the air. It's all rather complicated. Dinner time, no, I've got work to do.
Yeah.
So you already see here, Obelix is already becoming the budding little capitalist here, isn't he? And a couple of days into this, he's becoming quite the little capitalist.
And he's clearing sort of at this point in modern money, he's clearing 5-6 grand a menhir after a week.
Yeah. Well, it's about to get worse, as you know. Now look at the Roman, the legionary here. The first couple of days, it's like, oh, run, hide. He's coming back. Oh, it's the menhir delivery man. He's back again. You can see how lackadaisical these legionaries are getting, can't you? And now he's giving them 800 sesterti for a menhir. So he's doubled the price again. So Obelix in what's this? 3 days worth now is cleared. What is probably half a year's wages to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean he's cleared easily in 3 days. He's cleared 10 grand with delivering 3 menhirs at increasing price. 10 grand. I mean, he will have cleared.
To a lot of people. Yeah, to a lot of people, that's pretty almost half a year's wages. It is half a year to. It is more than half a year to a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I mean, someone hands me 10 grand for 3 days' work, I'm taking it.
Yeah. Says, you mean the prices have been cantering up through the marketplace since yesterday? He says, yeah. He says, yeah, but there's only one slight problem. You're only bringing 1 menhir at a time, and I need lots of menhirs. And he says, well, I can't make them any faster. I can only make 1 a day because I fell into the cauldron magic potion when I was a baby. He said, what a pity. If you could increase the efficiency of your productivity infrastructure, the market will fall. If you can't do this, now look, that means nothing to Obelix. So now I love this. If you're not able to make big heap menhirs, me not able to pay big heaps of sturdy, you savvy?
I hear that in the voice of Jack Sparrow.
That's the problem now. Every time I hear you savvy, I always think of Jack Sparrow. And he goes up, and now he goes and asks Asterix for some help. Asterix, could you help me make menhirs? He says, you see, if the infrastructure doesn't gallop up faster, there'll be heaps big sesterti falling in them up. But so Obelix can't even get all this right. So, yeah, you savvy?
And then Asterix just there in the bottom one.
He's lost
Telling
it.
Dogmatix, he's lost it. I love how Dogmatix is cuddling up to him there as well. It's cute.
Yeah, he's pissed. He is pissed at Obelix. I mean, they've been inseparable, haven't they, throughout the books? Dogmatics is really pissed at Obelix. So, you mean you won't help? I said, no. So next thing, don't forget about those so the guy comes back with his board. Don't forget about the prices going up and whatever. So he says, how about making me make menhirs? If you help me eat big menhirs, we give you eat big sub-30, you savvy?
So not only is he becoming the little capitalist, he's becoming a rude little shyster as well.
He's picking up all their language and stuff, isn't he? And like,
do you know what he is? I'll tell you exactly what he is. He's a yuppie.
Yeah, he's become. We got nouveau riche Obelix here. You know, it's what we're getting. I mean, this is before
He reminds me of like.
This is before yuppies were really a thing, but that's exactly a good description. Because it was the thing when we had the whole yuppie thing in the 80s. It's not only did they, you had these young people who were making a lot of money. It was like they flaunted the fact that they were making money.
Oh yeah, cocktail bars, flash suits, flash cars, occasionally flash women. They were known for it. There's a few great episodes of Only Fools and Horses that really show, because Rodney's wife works in banking. Yeah. And her boss is just the quintessential yuppie. He's like 5'9", dark hair, sharp suit. Looks like a good gust of wind would blow him over. He's got the giant ass mobile and the file of facts.
He's got to be he's the quintessential British yuppie, because he speaks a bit like someone from Sloane Square, like OER. Or what? The American yuppies didn't do that, but they weren't that bad. That's one thing I think we did worse than American was yuppie culture.
Yeah.
And yuppie culture in America was bad, if anyone's ever seen Wall Street. So, and I love the way he's going. Why are you talking funny like this? That's just how businessmen talk.
Oh yeah, as we were saying. Oh yeah.
Well, I know. We'll hire someone to hunt boars instead of you. 2 people hunt boars because there'll be 2 of us making menhirs. So
he's promoted. He's boar man now.
Yeah. Monosyllabics, polysyllabics. They're going to be the boar hunt. And now, do you know what? He's now raised this to 1,000 sesterti per menhir. And he's brought 2 of them.
So, it's inflation, isn't it? He's gone from 100 sesterti to 1,000 in what, a fortnight?
Yeah.
Not even that.
Yeah, and he said, "Oh, you're good at." He said, "That's 2,000 sesterti." So he says, "I love the fact Obelix goes, you're good at sums, which is just 1 and 1 is 2." But he said, "Oh well, me used to learn much big things in big business school."
I'm sorry, but given that he's been to the LSE and the way that's worded is just hilarious to me.
Yeah,
it's a really. The thing is with the LSE. Posh people like to take the mickey, but the LSE has turned out some incredibly successful business people. Yeah. That's why it's so well known. And this is... There's a little bit of a class jab going on here, isn't there? Let's be honest.
Well, I mean, you'd be surprised. You look at some notable alumni of the LSE. You got people from Richmond. You got David Rockefeller went there, but actually, George Soros went there. Cherie Blair went there. Actually, Sir David Attenborough went there. So
did he? I thought he went. Did he?
Yeah, apparently.
You sure about that? Because his father was Chancellor at the University of Leicester.
Sounds like he actually went to the LSE for a bit.
It might have. I mean, to be fair, he might have done. And they run like summer schools and all sorts. And they're very...
Clement Attlee, of course, the former British Prime Minister.
The LSE is kind of known as the economic school that turns out people who aren't... It turns out the nouveau riche, because it doesn't... I mean, even Kennedy supposedly signed up for the general 1-year course.
Yeah. I've heard that story. I don't know that that's true or not, but I have heard that he at least he enrolled, but I never went there or something, so I don't quite know.
I'm just looking at the list of people who were there. Rockefeller, Trudeau, Attlee, as you said, Ed Miliband. You know, and the thing all these people have in common is, by and large, they're at the very least centrist, if not left wing. Mick Jagger.
Yeah,
So just throw one in there. They're not the kind of people who.
Oh yeah,
the
Stones were not really working class bands, you know.
They weren't at all.
I say I prefer them over the Beatles, but they weren't a working class sort of band.
They were very good at pretending to be, though, and I think that says a lot about the LSE, doesn't it? It's very good at pretending to be working class.
So now Obelix, I'm going to say this: he's doubled his production. It's gone up to 1,000 a menhir, but he still wants him to produce more. So he's like more. He says, and now as Obelix is going off here, he says, the legionaries, the centurions are saying, I don't get your strategy. What are you going to do with all these menhirs? He says, bother your head. Veni, vidi, and heap big vici. And he says, I reckon you've been overdoing it. So soon afterwards, here are the Boers. That makes 2 times 3 handfuls. So they're coming back. So he's hired 2 more now. He's hired 2 more now to come in. And he's hired another 4 of this Pacifics, Atlantics, Baltics, Adriatics, who's now hiring to go and so he's hired. So he's so technically now he's got 7 people working for him. And
he's still making a profit because his prices are still more than 10 times what they were when he started. And he's paying them less than he was earning at the start. He's paying them a handful when he's getting a bag.
He says, and so Asterix and Dogmatic's Dogmatic's looking a bit sad here, but he says, you mustn't worry about Obelix. I know he's been acting strangely in the moment, but it will pass. You know what we're going to do? We're going to hunt a nice boar and invite Obelix to dinner. Here's the very thing. Come on, and I love this. Hands off, that's mine. He said, what do you mean yours? Boars are common property, same as Romans. He says, Romans, yes, but not boars. I love the idea that Romans are common property.
I just, yeah.
Oh my word, this is brilliant. We're hunting boars for Obelix. Him pay big handfuls for boars. So that's right. We're working, and you're disturbing us. So get lost. Asterix has had enough now. He takes a little swig of the magic potion, and he's.
I love this one on the next page. The boar's confused.
Yeah.
Big heat, skyfall on our heads.
Let's have a word with Obelix here. And we go to the quarry. Caution, many is turning.
Brilliant.
Are you nuts or what? Just certainly not. The menhir business has never had it so good. I'm getting to be the most influential man in the village.
Again, confusing the ability to employ and have a economic power with political power, which we've seen what happens when you put people who think they understand business in places of power. And I can say that with a smile now, because it's over.
And please note people that think they understand business as well. Please note what was said there. But I love this. But wouldn't you rather hunt boar and have fun with your friends like you used to? Of course, he said, but I've sold heaps of menhirs. I'll be able to hunt boar again. And he's like, come on, Dogmatic's the most influential man in the villages. And I love this. Come and work for me, Asterix. In a few years, we'll be. Ouch! Now
That's
you
just
know. I mean, if anything, now this should be a wake-up call to Obelix. Dogmatic's
yeah, and
just
I just
missing.
did anyone else read that and just cringe at the idea of offering your best friend to work for you?
Yeah.
I just work for me, not work with me, work for me.
Mm.
And I just, damn Obelix, you've drunk the Kool-Aid hard.
Now, of course, Getafix already is getting to the heart of the matter here, as Asterix is there, sort of, I think, sharing his woes with Getafix. Getafix says, I don't think it's anything serious, but what bothers me is this sudden passion the Romans have for menhirs. So Getafix gets it, what something's going on here. You know, he's always pretty smart about these things. And we now get to the he's back here, and I love this. I suggest we have a working lunch. That's lucky. Something seems to have kept my hunters in the forest today. And he says, production has increased, but you still have a delivery problem. You need to step up the efficiency of your distribution channel. Sorry, I forgot. You not bring plenty menhirs at one time. You bring more menhirs quick. So this guy is he is a condescending little fuck.
He's a condescending little prick.
He absolutely is. And he says, me not find delivery, mem. I think the problem over. We'll be in touch and we'll have another working lunch. I love this. Oh, and you might want to start spending some of your sesterity. You need some smarter clothes. What's wrong with my breeches? It's not the way for a man who's doing so well in menhirs to dress. Oh, it is.
And I swear, when I first read this, before I even got to this next page, I was already thinking about Yuppies, but even like the designs are just, yeah.
Hissy, you see the page at all for the top bit? I'm just going to quickly nip and grab a drink.
I can,
okay?
yeah.
I'll be
so
20 seconds or so.
Yeah. So Geriatrix's hot young wife, darling Wooltrix, Woolix the peddler is here. So of course we now have Obelix is going to be spending his money, and the Impedimenta's coming out, and she's decided she wants to use the Chief's shield to get there. So stop arguing. So, you know, typical between those two. And roll up. Silk from, I'm not going to try the Latin names, but Silk from Leon, Velvet from Amiens, and Hourglasses from Switzerland. And as we all know, the Swiss are very well known for making timepieces. So this man's just a jack of all trades, isn't he? Typical trade, a bit of a Del boy. It says the very latest thing from Lutetia, quite inexpensive. Can I, Geriatrix, dear? She says, and he says, yes, my dear love, yes. We've all seen it, the stereotypical, you know, I don't want to say sugar daddy, but sugar daddy.
I'm back. Where have you gotten to on this?
Geriatrix agreeing to let his little wifey buy the clothes.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I suppose you've just been pontificating on how has Geriatrix managed to have this absolutely stunning, gorgeous, golden-haired young woman here.
As I said, literally as you came back, I don't want to say sugar daddy, but let's be honest, sugar daddy.
Well, we're about to have a little look here and see if you might be onto something. I believe is what we're coming up on in the plot fairly soon. Right, so I'll put myself out on camera for now. Okay. So yeah, the peddler's turned up. And you've got to all that bit, and all of a sudden, Obelix comes in here, says, I'll buy the lot.
This has such Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone vibes. We'll take the lot. You don't need the lot. You're gonna gorge yourself. But again, it's classic Yuppie style, isn't it? Of
Let's buy because we can.
yeah.
But in a certain way, though, as a businessman here, Obelix is about to make quite a smart business move in a way as well, sorting out his distribution problem. Because you might to buy your entire stock, and your stock, your cart, and your oxen. So he's now got himself a cart and oxen, meaning he's got more. He can deliver more menhirs on the back of that.
Yeah.
He's we give you big money. You savvy? It's my savvy. He says, but if I sell my cart and my oxen, how can I support my family? I'm only I'm only ball with her. I love that. I will employ you. I suggest we have a working lunch. You come eat big lunch with me. I'll explain it all. So he takes away everything here, and sorry, the boss bought the lot. And now Geriatrics is about to get chewed out here. Well, don't you have anything to say? You heap big dead loss. I think you're onto something there, Hissy.
With the language.
With the sugar daddy thing with Geriatrics. Okay, now here we go. And here we go. Cart here, Obelix and Co. By Jupiter, look at that. Splendid. Well done. Come into my tent and we'll get down to business.
Step into my office.
Yeah, sort of. This is, but I have to unload the menhirs. Oh, no. That's no job for a captain of industry. You two unload these menhirs. Now, we got a brilliant little visual gag here coming up. He points at 2 Roman legionaries here to go and do the and now
that's Laurel and Hardy.
I was going to say who wanted to say that in the chat first, but it was like did it.
And I will say as well, this next comment of join the army, they said.
So
is just fantastic.
I'm surprised they didn't go a little bit further with this is another fine mess comment or something. But no, to be fair, they didn't. But good little visual gag there. I quite liked.
Yeah. I will say as well, and I've got to be careful how I word this and what names I mention. But there are certain quite famous businessmen in the UK and in America who have these almost mythical origin stories. You know, he started out with a borough in London. He started out in a record store. He started out. Oh, what other examples are they? Although you probably know which one I'm talking about. With
Branson, Gates. Yeah, all these people.
Lord Sugar.
Sugar is possibly the only one who did come from a working class. Sugar is possibly the only one where there's some truth to the fact that he did start his business out of the back of a van, a bit like Del Boy. You know, I mean, there is some truth to that, but
I mean, the same with Branson. He started out in a record store, but what was he actually doing in the record store?
But he he had a magazine. Well, he had a magazine, fairly successful magazine venture actually before he even did records. But what often gets left out of the Bill Gates narrative is that they forget that is the fact that he comes from a quite wealthy banking family.
But these it's that, but it's they forget where they come from. Suddenly, it's all working lunches and let the plebs do the work.
Yeah,
which is kind of what that was getting at.
Now, look at this. All of a sudden, hello, Obelix. Do you get a feeling she's a bit of a gold digger here?
Tiny bit, yeah.
I mean, just the whole way she's acting as well. Just wanted to congratulate you on becoming the most influential man in the village.
And the thing is, Obelix has had a thing for her for a while as well.
I don't know if he had the thing for her. I think it was the other girl that he had the real crush on, wasn't it? In that one where they ended up in Africa.
Yeah, although I
Kind
will
of,
be, to be fair, she really is his type, isn't she?
yeah. He looks. He seems to like young blondes. He's got a thing there. Because there's one in Caesar's Gift, wasn't he? He had a bit of a crush on as well. The innkeeper's daughter. By the way, you couldn't do something for me, could you? And she's like, oh, of course. And geriatrics is coming in. Supper ready, my love? No, supper's not ready. Get it yourself. I'm busy.
Again, with the way their speech patterns have changed, it's
Yeah.
like there's this concept of, you know, time is money, and the more you speak, the more money you're wasting. So
Yeah.
you say as little as possible. And it's almost that, what's going on with this?
Yeah. It is. It is in a way. Obelix, and he said, busy doing what, my pet? Obelix asked me to make him some clothes, so he's going to pay handsomely. I haven't got a thing to wear, and since I can't count on you to find, you know, I have to find some way to earn a bit of money.
Yeah, so it's very
Geriatrics
much
is walking off. He is not a happy man.
he's under a dark cloud there. And he's very much there's a industrial revolution feel to this going on now, isn't there?
Yeah,
The women are starting to work and join the production markets.
Yeah.
Sorry, don't mind me.
Now, see this. I love this. A little while later, Geriatrics, he's complaining to Getafix and Asterix here about now that fat fool Obelix is making a pile with his menhirs, and my wife's becoming a real so and so. Which was obviously that was a good little pun on her fact that she was she was sewing stuff for Obelix. I can't go on like this. He's like, calm down. Obelix is my friend afterwards. I love this. Well, my wife is making eyes at your friend. And she's never looked at anyone but me before. It's incredible. I love the way Getafix is. Yes, I've often thought so myself.
Yeah. There's some interesting commentary on the different editions of this in the chat from Hubswatch. In the German, when he spoke to Obelix, the letters were red and green when she was talking to her husband. And in the Danish, there were flowers in the letters when she spoke to Obelix. So she was definitely flirting, I think, is what we're supposed to take from that.
Oh, so I mean, really, it's strange. It's in the English translation there. You didn't even need to do that with the bubbles. I mean, just the body language was alone there was enough to show you she's flirting with him. It was very obvious. And so Asterix decides he's going to have a little talk with Obelix, and what's this? They just burst out laughing when they see him.
Oh, I'm not surprised. But yes, definitely dressed like a yuppie in the pinstripe.
This is the most influential man in the village, setting the fashion trend. But jokingly enough, this is almost how fashion works as well, because it can be an utterly ridiculous thing. But if someone with influence is wearing it, suddenly it's cool. I mean,
that fashion of giant bows on the front came through in dresses from the Paris Fashion Week. Was it last year or the year before? And I just looked at it and thought, what on earth?
Well,
like giant bows on the head or something.
Yeah, I just have to look at it's a good example. Lady Gaga. Some of the outfits she wears are just ridiculous. They're laughable. They're absolutely. I mean, I can't take her seriously with some of her outfits.
I can't either.
Yeah, she's in that pop sort of thing where she's a very successful recording artist. It's like, oh no, she's not a figure of ridicule. She's a fashionista. She's a trendsetter. That's almost how it works.
Yeah, it's like Katy Perry was that about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager, Katy Perry was the one we looked at, and some of the stuff she did, especially in the videos, was just like, what are you doing? Diana in the 90s, although at least she had the decency not to go too outrageous.
Oh no, I mean she didn't go. She kind of couldn't know, I suppose, but
yeah, with the links to the royal family.
Yeah.
You had who else did you have? If it's on the front of Vogue, everyone's going to wear it, no matter how insane it looks.
Yeah.
And it's just ugh. Wear what you're comfortable in, folks, and what you like, not what the magazines tell you looks good. Because
now, and I just you said like. Obelix is like this is how important. He's almost like this is how important men kind of dress here. He's like big men. Man in menhirs. And Asterix is like, don't you think this joke's wearing a bit thin now? He said, look, I'm in a hurry. If you like, we'll have a working lunch someday. Obelix, and I love this. Now everyone's grumbling about Obelix. But he said, you may be sick of Obelix, but it seems like a lot of the wives. It seems like the wives are pestering the husbands about him. Because
Obelix seems to be employing everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, he's making all the money. Why aren't you making? So it's a bit of pressure, and Asterix makes a suggestion. Why don't you try to unhygienics? Why don't you try making menhirs? And he's like, I don't know how to make menhirs. It's, you don't need a druid's degree to learn.
What's the line? I ain't no doctor with degree.
Yeah. And he says the thing is, menhirs are heavier than herrings. Now Obelix is strong, and he's like, that was it. And he's like, I can carry a herring. I can carry a menhir. I like. Now he bumps into geriatrics. So you talk to that.
Is creating competition.
He says, I've got a better idea of geriatrics fighting with his own weapons. Why don't you make menhirs? Fact is, he said, don't worry, I'll see you to everything. And Asterix has got an idea. And he's like, yeah. And this thing almost in a way, they know it's Asterix is damn bloody clever. Not only is he having a bit of fun here, I don't know if he knows what he's going to call the actual fallout he's going to call. Hey, Exploratory Minds Project. Good to see you, my friends.
Yeah.
Been a little while. So he says, Romans want menhirs. We'll provide them menhirs. So he gets get a fix to make magic potion for anyone who wants to manufacture menhirs.
I have something to say.
Yeah, go on.
Obelix, no capes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just saw him in that cape, and I had a mental image of the Disney movie of the superhero family. No capes.
Oh, The Incredibles.
Incredibles, yeah. And it's very much the fashion that's going on here. It's Edna, isn't it? It's trying to be avant-garde and trying to be different, and he just looks like a nut job. Robert's right. If you're poor and dressed like that, you're called crazy. And if you're rich or successful and dressed like that, you're called eccentric.
You're an eccentric, yeah. Exactly. I love this. So he bumps into unhygienics who's carrying a menhir. What's that? He says, that's a funny question from coming for you. It's a menhir. He says, I mean, you're delivering menhirs like these days? Why not? No herrings. And then he gets this fully automatics best menhirs in the village. Where's fully automatics? Suddenly, Obelix they got geriatrics here, specially matured menhirs. He's
geriatric, specially matured, and they're all.
Yeah. This is a good start. So, hey mates, here comes another one of them. And I love the fact he said, it strikes me that your century's military parlance is deteriorating. In the centuries, you've got a nerve. Since you arrived, my men have been talking funny. And I love the fact he says, let us help you unload, you vulnerable old gentleman. I'll show you if I'm old Roman. Where do I put them?
Hmm.
So this comes unhygienics. And then this
Fresh
centurion,
menhirs.
yeah, this menhir business is starting to get on my nerves.
Yeah.
So now this is a centurion talking now with preposterous. And just what do you think? Do you think all these menhirs will get you? He says, I don't want them to get me anywhere. I've already told you I came and I conquered. The Gauls are using their magic powers to make menhirs instead of thumping our legionaries. They've been defeated by the profit motive, gold and high living standards. Will weaken their moral fibre. Don't you agree?
The funny thing is, since ancient Greece and Rome, philosophers have been complaining that easy living and a good income makes people soft and lowers moral fibre. It's not a new argument.
No.
A
But
lot of Romans would complain about it as well when they looked at the Nouveau Riche.
So as you could get into a little bit of like Marx's concepts of historical materialism, I suppose, as well. But this is where we're almost getting to the fact, though, that this is kind of almost a Keynesian. Was it what John Maynard Keynes said in the General Theory, or something about just like pay the workers to dig holes and then fill in the holes again? Point being was to keep them employed so they keep spending. That was of course, it ended up more and more that I mean, people talk a lot about Keynes. Really, some of the more radical elements of Keynes never really got ever really implemented anywhere, as far as I'm aware. But
essentially, busy work, keep them busy, and they'll keep spending. And as long as they keep spending, they'll keep wanting to work because they'll want more money. And the more money they want, the more money they need. Therefore, the more they work, and the less trouble they cause.
Yeah. By the way, thanks to Megan Nuts for sharing the links in it. I'm going to say, because I've got a few more subscribers than Hissy's got, can I just say, if anyone here is watching this, has not subbed to Hissy's Hideaway yet, will you please go give her a sub? So
I'd appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah.
Just fair warning as well, Amiga Nuts has put my secondary Twitter on there. If you follow Discourse Noodle, be warned. It is definitely not safe for work. It's mostly a fandom Twitter. And occasionally it does get a little bit busy if I poke the wrong person and annoy them. So
now we're going to get to some Latin in a second here, Hissy. What are you going to do with this big heap of menhirs? And what's this? Rede sees. Now you have to. I mean, he does actually.
Rede Casare que sunt Casaris. Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's.
Yeah, render unto Caesar. Keep big menhirs that are Caesar's.
Someone's got a savior complex.
Someone's. Yeah, I love the Caesar, and he's like, you're causing. Caesar is paid for these menhirs. It's only right for me to deliver them. While I'm away, carry on buying menhirs and keep raising the price. Buy menhirs.
Civis Pacem. It's Pacem, I suppose, depending on how you pronounce it. That I think.
See you in a sec, Robert.
Roughly translates as if you want peace.
Yeah.
Civis Pacem, if you want peace. By menhirs. It's a bastardization of the expression if you want peace, prepare for war. Which, as we know, is the origin of the military-industrial complex.
Yes. But now Getafix and Asterix have been summoned to the chief's hut here. Cacophonix, I love he's got a little black eye. He says, what happened to him? Oh, he wanted to work in Fully Automatics as quarry, but Fully Automatics doesn't care for music while he works.
Oh, brilliant. I love it.
I love this. I asked you to come because it strikes me you are the only sane people left in this village. They've all gone nuts. Half of them are hunting boar to feed the other half who are making menhirs. What on earth is this in aid of? And don't worry, oh chief. I'm not worried. I've known for years they're all nuts. But now Impedimentus keeps telling me I ought to be making menhirs too. So she can't face her friends these days because their husbands are rolling in sesterti. And I love that. Be patient. The Romans' troubles aren't over. They'll find us and the menhirs tough nuts to crack, and then they have a little giggle to themselves. Now they're nuts too. They've got, it seems like Asterix has really, really thought this out, hasn't he? Whatever they're playing, he knows. I think he knows what's about the chaos that he's about to.
Yeah, he is well aware of what he's doing.
Back in Rome.
This is fantastic, is this? I love this.
What am I supposed to do with all these menhirs? Caesar, those menhirs are proof of my success. They're busy making menhirs and he's making menhirs to fight. Says, maybe, but you're draining my treasury to keep a few madmen busy. Well, maybe you shouldn't have told him he was going to get unlimited credit then. Probably. I'm not being funny. Julius Caesar, that's on you. That's on Julius Caesar there. But I love this. Peace is beyond all price.
I mean, we say that in principle, but the problem is that the people with money don't want to pay the price of peace.
No.
And that's the entire point, that eventually Caesar's going to say, no more money.
I love the fact, though, that he tells us, young man, I make the classical remarks around here, and all that. And what's more, you haven't answered my question. What am I supposed to do with all these menhirs? Sell them, oh Caesar. So, what? That's right. The only way to recover your expenses is you make a profit too. He says, but who'd want to buy menhirs? They're no good for anything.
They don't have to be.
Yeah.
This is the definition of frivolous advertising coming up here.
Well, yeah, precisely. We must draw up a campaign that decides on a strategy to set our sights on the right target. Now, of course, campaign, strategy, target, that's the kind of thing I like to hear. I'll give some of my legions is, no, let me explain. Okay, this is
brilliant.
The following passage will be difficult for those unacquainted with the ancient business world to understand, especially as these days such a state of affairs could never exist, since no one would ever dream of trying to sell something so utterly useless.
I stared at that for the best part of a minute and just died. That was just hilarious. Because that's exactly most advertising. If you've ever seen advertisements of children's toys,
exactly, yeah. At the present moment, in time, the demand for menhirs is virtually nil. Therefore, we must be creative, find a potential appeal to the customer. Let us study the factors that will allow us to hone in on our target. People will buy something A, useful, B, comfortable, C, something that's fun, D, something to make the neighbours envious. We have to aim for D. A campaign, carefully defined area should allow us to make rapid contact with a large body of consumers able to absorb our stocks at maximum speed.
So he's talking about a targeted advertisement campaign here.
Yeah,
we've all seen Facebook adverts.
Yeah. Now, instant recognition of the product will be obtained by intensive repetition of the qualities of the aforesaid product. which may be defined as following: A, durability; B, solidity; C, other qualities. Thus, I make no rash promises that I should say we should succeed in obtaining positive results sales-wise at no very distant date. I love this. Just Caesar.
Me think you able to sell big heat menus plenty quick.
Yeah. This is, yeah.
The adverts are just hilarious.
I love this. Your dearest wish, a menhir. It's big, it's beautiful, it's a menhir. Now on sale at all the best temples and baths and forums.
You own a villa, you own a chariot, slaves, but do you own a menhir?
Yeah.
So it is the very definition of a frivolous purchase.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is something you buy to show off to the neighbours. Hyacinth Bucket would have 3. This is what we're saying. Would want 3.
Yeah. And now, folks, I love the fact that the idea that we're having a commercial break in the middle of the blooming gladiatorial games here.
I mean, yeah, that kind of... I think I've seen reference to that actually being a thing.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me.
Between fights and stuff. Not so much a commercial break as between fights, sellers would be allowed in to tout their goods.
Yeah.
And obviously, we've all seen the life of Brian with, he's selling peanuts and what have you. That was a thing too. And there's always advertising outside of the Colosseum of, bits of... Well, I call it the Colosseum because it's the one in Rome. You know what I mean? Outside the amphitheatre, there's going to be people buying and selling. Wherever there's people, there's markets. So, yeah. Rings by.
She would.
I got him into it when he was over here and he found it hilarious.
The bouquet residence, the lady of the house speaking.
The bouquet, lady of the house speaking.
And I love the fact that they're all booing it, but his wife turns and says, the neighbours and this next door have bought a menhir. They're very pleased with it. And so initially they're having success here with the menhirs. It's a knockout. Menhirs are selling like hotcakes. And what's more, I've had some ideas, Caesars. Togas.
Merchandise!
Yes, togas, sundials, jewellery, and a do-it-yourself menhir kit.
Can you zoom in on that sundial, please? I am just going to leave. Just look at it. Just look at it.
Yeah.
That's all I just, yeah. I when we talk about phallic symbolism, folks, and about every man, can you imagine? This is, a man with a menhir, his big menhir. What's he?
Definitely a sort of cup and a dagger and chalice thing going on here, I think.
Yeah, a little bit.
And I love this. So he's going to say we have peace with the Gauls, and thanks to them, we're going to make a real killing too. So Julius Caesar, I'm by Jupiter, I'm pleased with you. Now we ought to make menhirs in something less durable or built in lack of obsolescence isn't good for business. And he gets interrupted. Caesar, this has been stuck up all over Rome. Oh dear. Genuine Roman menhirs, cheaper than imported varieties, by Roman. Wow.
Metricius.
Yeah, go and find him. So he brought this. So what's the big idea then? He's brought this guy in who's Roman, who's manufacturing menhirs. What's the big ideas? Since when have we been Romans made menhirs? Since people started buying them. Well, I forbid you to sell any more menhirs. And I love this, that he's kind of almost, he's supposed to be like a captain of industry, but he's acting more like a blooming union leader here.
He is a little bit, but then when you get to the next row, you kind of realise what he's doing.
Oh yeah, yeah. But he's coming across. I represent the entire Roman menhir industry, and I cannot countenance an edict which endangers the jobs of so many workers.
But the workers are slaves.
I love this. Exactly. The right to work is the only right a slave has. He must not be deprived of it.
Apologies to any Americans who live in right-to-work states, and if that triggered you.
Yeah.
Because right to work, just yeah.
That's an expression that has different meanings in different countries.
Yeah.
So.
And there's also the fact that it's jobs for the slaves, and I am just glad they dodged the work makes you free comment that could have been placed there.
Yeah.
I'm very glad they dodged that.
The fact that they got a picket line now on the Appian Way. Ban the Gaulish menhir.
This is very much, isn't it? It's the mill strikes and bringing in the Irish.
Yeah.
Is what it's very. So in British history, especially in northern mill towns, they would occasionally strike for better pay, better conditions. And the mill owners, the bright sparks, rather than just doing it, would bring in Irish workers. Usually Irish, sometimes from other places, but famously Irish workers, to bring them across the picket lines. And 9 times out of 10, this would devolve into riots.
Yeah.
And it would break the strikes. And it became a known thing.
And it was a known thing that it stirred up anti-Irish sentiment as well. I mean, and I'm not being funny, last time we had anything similar to that in Britain was about 10 years ago. A little over 10 years ago now. When we had that thing at the oil refinery and they brought in some foreign workers, and we had that disgusting British jobs to British workers thing. And the fact that the trade union lead, the trade union leader of the Transport and General Workers Union at the time, it was Derek Simpson, got behind that slogan, I think was one of the most disgusting moments in the history of British trade unionism. But
and I do have to say as well, I am one of those people, I don't hold it against anyone who's brought in to break a strike like that, because you cannot judge someone. Especially, I'm going back and talking more about during the Industrial Revolution, but they were brought in on lower wages than the unionised workers. And they were brought in, this was sort of back end of the Irish potato famine, where they didn't have many options. And so they were doing whatever it took to feed their families.
I mean,
and essentially what it is, they were being preyed on.
I may have a different take on. Maybe we might have a little disagreement on that, because I do not like. I don't like scabs. I'm sorry. I don't like scabs.
I absolutely don't like scabs. But in a situation where you've got a unionised workforce and foreigners are being brought in who are in that desperate straits, I can understand why, out of desperation, they would accept it.
Yeah. I get it.
You know, when you've got children crying at home because they're hungry.
I think it's more the thing is how you approach that if you're in that situation or you're a striking worker and they bring them across. And it's really, it has been known for the people they've tried to bring in, whether they be foreign workers or agency workers. It has been known on occasion for them to actually refuse to cross the picket lines.
Yeah, so like Rings just put in the chat, don't blame the Irish, blame the people who bring them.
Exactly.
Which is entirely the point. I mean, I know people who've worked agency work, who still are agency workers, who, you know, agency nurses are quite common. Back in the 70s and 80s, engineers worked at agency, electricians. And I don't know a single one who, despite working for the agencies, who ever crossed the picket. They just refused point blank to do it. Because as an agency worker, they had the right to refuse the work. Because they weren't employed and they weren't relying on that job. my dad was an agency worker, and his opinion of people who cross pickets is very similar to yours, Jeff.
Yeah.
Guess where I get it from?
Yeah.
And it's especially in northern towns, it's very, I think, especially post Maggie, it's an ardent, if you are part of a union and you believe in the principles of it, to cross a picket line, honestly, I think you'd have to put a gun to my head. And even then, I'd probably tell you, go whistle. It's one of those. It's a deeply held principle.
Something I've never ever done. I've never crossed I've never crossed anyone's picket line. So,
but of course, in this day and age, when we can't have sympathy pickets, it's a bit different.
No.
But
you've got to be. Even if you go in, like, you got to be real difficult, because I've talked to guys who were picketing before, and I talked to some council workers, and there's some one of the blooming bosses come out and try to accuse me of secondary picketing, and I'm like, yeah, good luck with that. Good luck trying that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I was in school, there were regular teacher strikes, and the schools would try and open, with agency teachers, with supply teachers, or reduce thing. And the number of times I argued with my parents, I'm not going, the teachers are on strike. Of course, parents just want the kids out the house. And once my parents realised that the reason it was a day off work because the teachers were striking, and why they were striking, there were no more arguments. I just sat in my room all day with a book.
Right. Okay.
It was one of those. So it's.
I see. I just got to
don't cross a picket.
I just got to quickly shoot out for 20 seconds again.
Yep, cool. No worries.
So I just get you on. You just want to start the
the
next page, and I should be back by even you're halfway through.
Yep. So we've got the manufacturers having their fingers on the pulse of public opinion. Caesar, I think you'll have to lift your ban. I mean, this idea of Caesar being the sole supplier of menhirs, and menhirs are only menhirs if they're from that one little village in Gaul, is very similar to me to the idea of certain protected merchandise. So the famous one is champagne's only champagne if it's from one particular region. Otherwise, it's just sparkling wine. And that's what's going on here. But Caesar doesn't have the population in his favor. So he decides he's going to open the market. And the thing about opening the market is, if your product's good, if your product is good and worth the money being paid for it, it will stand in a free market. And this is what Caesar is gambling on here.
Yeah. So whereabouts are you down to here?
We're just getting to where all the signs are, cut price, menhirs, etc.
So the bunkers, he's been talked into letting it float and undercut the prices. Of course,
he's floated himself on the stock exchange, basically.
Now the problem with what's going on here. They've been that what's going on in Gaul is.
Mind the bottom row, Jeff.
Oh yeah, okay, I remember. Yeah, we got a pirate thing.
Yeah.
But the let's just he said, but he remember what he told the centurion: keep raising the price on what you're paying the Gauls for the menhirs.
Yeah.
He's
but
not
when the market's flooded, the price drops. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get and look. Free gift of 2 slaves of every Gaulish menhir.
And we must be competitive, undercut prices, let the menhir float. Well, when you've got an expensive product and you float it, it sinks. Plus, menhirs, sink like a stone.
Which is the gag that I'm not going to show down the bottom with the pirates, but But it's basically saying I thought menhirs were floating. Says not so much now. They're sinking nowadays.
They sunk
the ship. Now. And this is what we get to. Remember what we had in the last one: 2 slaves of every menhir. Now get 2 menhirs with the price of with every slave purchased.
Yeah.
Um,
The bottom's dropping out the market.
it's the same thing. I mean, when a product, when a it's basically a market's been over flooded. Overproduction is what does this. It's an absolute feature of capitalism.
Yeah, this is what happens. You get to give a modern example for you, and we'll stick to the stone tablets concept. You get something like a Apple iPad, top of the range. It's expensive. It's got all the gizmos, and it goes out into market. Someone else looks at it and goes, "I can make that, but cheaper." And then you have an Android tablet. And then you realize that actually this thing's got other features on it. So people start flooding to that, and the iPads get cheaper. So they then have to produce something new or something different to stay in the market. But then the Android ones get expensive because everyone wants them and the supply is low. And then someone comes along and says, I can make a generic one out of China for 1/10 of the price. Now, for the consumer, that's brilliant. As a consumer, that's fantastic. You have choice, you have variety, you have options. But for the sellers, it's terrible because they're always trying to keep up, and they've always got to find a new gimmick, which is what we've seen with the slaves as a gift, free gift with slaves, all this going on.
Anytime you get any deal like buy two get two for the price of one, or free for the price of two sort of thing, that is a result of overproduction. And it's never done because the company's trying to give you some great deal on something.
It's because they can't get rid of it.
Because they can't get rid of it. They've overproduced stock.
It's why, for example, the price of computers always falls in February. Do you know why?
Yes.
Because
and all that for Christmas.
The market got flooded at Christmas, and the new lines are coming out in February, March time.
Yeah.
And they always bring out the new lines there. So if you want to buy a computer, wait till February time.
This is what's happening.
Actual consumer advice on this show.
This is what happened with the big computers sort of crashing in the 80s, and then obviously first of all happened to like the American companies, and then the British companies that got killed at Christmas. I mean, Acorn got killed one Christmas. I don't know if it was Christmas that killed Sinclair Computers, because he had to sell off to Alan Sugar, didn't he? But
yeah, I mean, we've had at the minute 10 months. We've had 10 months of a shortage of computer power supplies, because last year most computer power supplies, guess where they're made? They're made in China. Now, as we know, the Chinese production ground to a halt.
Yes.
At the end of last year and early this year. The cost of power supplies is rising. Eventually, that production is going to restart and the prices are going to collapse back to what they were. But it's going to take a while.
Okay. I think we need to try and get through this in time, because we've got to send people over the One Rings stream in a little bit. We are kind of approaching our time here. So Caesar's like, people don't even want them as a gift anymore. I've left the fortune, but what's about to happen now? He then tells Caesar, I wanted to keep the peace in Gaul, so I gave orders to them to keep buying menhirs and raising the price. The state of my finances. You said we were going to make a killing and get back to Gaul and stop it. And he's like, wouldn't you want someone else?
This middle panel's brilliant. You're going yourself. It's your fault I nearly had a civil war on my hands. Rome might have been ruined. Even Brutus has been giving me nasty looks. Oh, I love the Brutus jokes in these books. They're fantastic.
Oh, they are brilliant. So he's like, you either go back to Gaul and put a stop to this, or you're going to the lions. And you look at that menhir graveyard. However, the menhir crisis has not quite affected the Gaulish village, and Asterix and Obelix comes up to talk to him. Can I go hunting boars with you? What, an influential man like you? Don't you have a conference or a business lunch? He's like, please don't laugh at me. I've been silly. I'm bored and I've had enough. Now everyone has lost to sturdy. Now everyone's the most influential man in the village.
I've got to say the way the other fella's dressed here is hilarious.
Yeah, geriatrics is fantastic.
He looks like someone. He genuinely looks like someone tried to wrap him in the Stars and Stripes.
Yeah,
look at him.
I know.
One for the Americans there, geriatrics.
I guess Obelix is somewhat coming to his senses now. And he realizes that he kind of misses, like, I want to be friends again. I want to hunt boar and have fun. Like the old days, you know.
Yeah.
And he says, well, were you thinking of hunting boars in that get up? What? So basically go and get changed. It's got.
I do love the length of his hair here.
Yeah, this is like the lack of discipline. They're not cutting their hair. They must be shaving like once a week or something, if that. And I hope you brought plenty of sturdy with you, because we're running, and because he's done what they told him. Unhygienics turn. No, take him away. No more. Not buying any more menhirs. What am I supposed to do with it? I can let you have them cheap. No more. Get out.
And what happens when there's economic crisis? People get restless.
Exactly. I don't understand your new strategy. Says there's not a new strategy. We're not buying any more. That's all. And I love this. He grabs him. Oh no, you're not getting away with this until I know what's going on here. Oh, have I missed some stuff here? Have I missed some? No. And I thought I'd missed something. Oh no, perhaps not. They're not buying any more menhirs. I love this. Fully automatics. You mean they're not buying any more of your menhirs? What's also? Well, he has to do it, doesn't he?
Yeah. The rotten
your
fish
menhirs stink of fish. Yeah. What's going on? Asterix and Obelix go out hunting. They don't even want any of mine anymore. That Roman tells me he never wants to see another menhir as long as he lives. What's to become of me? How am I going to pay all the people working for me? And I love this vital statistic. Great. Now maybe I'll be able to get my shield bearers back. And now here we come. Asterix and Obelix have come back with hunting some boar. And
now there's the accusations of insider trading.
Yeah. Asterix stopped making menhirs. So he knew the Romans wouldn't be buying anymore. He didn't warn us. It's all us. It's all his fault. We started making him in the. Accuse him of treachery. All he's doing. I love this.
Poor Obelix getting the blame for Asterix shenanigans.
Hold this, will you, Asterix? With pleasure. Come on, dogmatics.
Yeah.
It's good to see their friends again. And I love this. Get effects going. How nice to see the village return to its good old ways. Yeah, it's nothing like a daily round of a common task. You know. You did very well. I'm pleased with you. Wait a minute. Let's tie all this up. So Asterix had the plan to cause an economic crisis in Rome. That is what he is cunning. He is very smart.
Yeah, he is clever. I will point out as well, the way he fixes it, he's got a point. The way you fix an economic crisis is with a war.
Yeah.
Like, traditionally, that's how you get people out of major economic crises. It's what happened in the 1920s. It's what happened in the 1940s. Going back, it happened in the 1800s.
You had a long post-war boom built on a Cold War, because it's where you really had the permanent arms economy, and it is a bit, I suppose, in a way, it is a bit on Keynesianism, because Keynes's thing with military spending is that it actually the reason it can like make the boom go longer in a certain way is because it compels your competitor to spend as well.
Yeah, it's
More than
mutually
anything
assured
else.
destruction.
Yeah.
And once you reach a point of mutually assured destruction, that's when the boom becomes a bust.
However, it is also only it is a temporary solution to the boom slump cycle at best. We got a long boom period post-war, in a strange way because of the Cold War.
And I mean the reason as well. This is why, if you look, there's a reason that over the last 20 years we've fallen into the bust cycle, and it's because we were at the point militarily where everyone had the best of the best militarily, and it's only as we're getting into cyber warfare now that we're going to start to see that uptick again.
And then what you actually saw though as well is that a lot of let's say the big nations that were involved in the Cold War, would be obviously United States, the Soviet Union, Great Britain. Now, quite an awful lot of those countries' GDP was tied up in armament, some way or another. I mean, America was doing very well, did pretty well on the consumer goods front as well. But I mean, when it comes to the consumer good thing, now you had West Germany and Japan, who obviously lost, but were also told that they could not spend more than 1% of their national GDP on armament. They retooled their factories towards consumer goods, and I mean, this is the one thing like the Soviet Union.
Japanese cars.
Yeah, and
it used to be that a German car was the best on the market,
and the
Japanese have caught up fast.
And the West German sort of economic miracle after the war, post-war years as well. They,
if you want to see which country has been held essentially under sanctions and hasn't been allowed to produce militarily, look at which country is producing infrastructure and is producing vehicles. And if you go back in their history, you will find something that stops them producing arms.
Yeah.
It just is what it is.
Anyway,
that's how it works.
But Asterix makes a good point here. He breaks the fight up, says, sorry to disturb you all, but why don't we pay a little call of the Romans instead of fighting amongst us? They started this whole thing. And it was like, he's right. Now, Obelix, he's very good. Either way, I wanted to thank you for your lovely birthday present. So this time, the Romans are on me.
The Romans.
How about it? How about it, Chief? Oh, let's go get him by
let's
two
go
stars.
Get him. Yeah.
And I like this. Oh, he is this old preposterous is not getting away from the Centurion. Just tell me how the Gauls are going to react when they know you're not buying any menhirs. It's because when you came along, before you came along playing for the full, we were just quietly waiting for our relief to go here. And I've completed now. Watch out, mates. Here comes the bang.
The Gauls.
And I love the fact that they're charging in here, and Obelix is just, he's standing up there watching them. I love it.
And this is fantastic because the
right, we're getting to the end of this here.
Last page now, yeah. I do like this joke at the top. They've finished their attacks. Relief is here, is it? Do you know? But we should be due for tax relief after all this, because of course the last death knell for any economic corporation is getting tax relief.
Yep.
Because you only get tax relief when you can't afford to pay your taxes. Either when you can't afford to pay, because it's not tax relief if you can afford to pay them, but you take the Chancellor out for dinner. That's called evasion.
I pay all my taxes.
We need ring.
Yeah, we actually do. I can't do it. I pay all my taxes. I don't like I just don't like my taxes being spent on teaching children evolution.
Listen, if you don't
I
want to pay
I
taxes
can't
in
do
the
it. I
UK, you
can't do
take George
Obelix.
Osborne out for dinner. That's how
Yeah.
that used to go down.
Oh yeah. I love this. Heap big whiz kid, you savvy? All of our friends are rolling in sesterity. What do you think they'll do with them? Not much. I hear there's a grave financial crisis in Rome, though I don't know what caused it. Anyway, they've devalued the sestertius.
They actually did that historically, not
Yeah.
because of menhirs, obviously, but the sestertius was devalued, and currencies being devalued again. It's the nail in the coffin for a national economy.
It is a way out of a economic trouble at times, but it is a death. I mean, it was a big political disaster for Harold Wilson when they had to devalue the pounds in the 60s. You know, it was a massive.
And devaluing the currency only really works when under the gold standard. It doesn't really work in modern context where no one's on the gold standard anymore.
Yeah.
And this is why your products from China are so cheap, by the way, because Chinese currency was massively devalued. And therefore, what we would pay, you know, when the exchange rate is so much, it's great for Western consumers, but what it essentially means is that the money's worth so much less in China. A Chinese dollar, I think, yen.
Well, this is why someone actually sort of said to me about like, you know, back in 2008 when we started having like the economic crisis. One of my own work colleagues, I swear this, said to me, no word of a lie, why don't they just print more money? It's like
that's quantitative easing. It's devaluing. If you're
that's the effect it has. You introduce more money into the system. It actually devalues the currency.
It devalues the currency, and they actually did try it.
I mean, put it in layman's terms. Simply put, money is the same as any of these other commodities. That when it's, it can be the same as any of these other commodities at times. That the more of it there is the more of it is introduced, sometimes the less the currency is actually worth. It could work. It could work in the same way.
Okay. To give you a visual representation, I have this. Let's say this is worth £10 on today's market, but the pound collapses, and therefore, in a week, and then someone says, "Oh, let's print more money because there's no money going around." Now, let's say this is the entire value of the UK economy. If I add more money into there, I'm essentially splitting it into smaller pieces. So each piece is worth less, and each piece is £1. That's essentially really simple terms. And you can use that. You can use any item. I just pick some up off the shelf. But if your pound is worth less, you're not going to earn as much. The money's not going to be as strong in international markets. And in an international world where everyone's trading internationally.
I'm going to end the Kindle thing now, Hissy. Okay.
Yeah. It's one of those where you kind of. It's why exchange rates are so important for countries. And why people watch the international markets so carefully.
Okay.
Because if you're importing something in Britain, say we import something from France for £10, and then 2 weeks later we've got to pay £15 for it because the pound's dropped. It's that becomes difficult if everyone's still earning the same amount of money.
Right now, economics now. Just before we wrap up, in a second, hop over to One Ring 42's channel. The link's in the description there for Media Musings. Hissy's going to be jumping over there herself in a minute. But I think we should just very quickly wrap this one up. Obelix and Co. As far as Asterix books, where does this rank?
This is brilliant. This is up there with like in the top few. It's I've written on a lot about the economy and economics, and you can tell I'm not an economist. Damn it, I'm a historian, not an economist. But I understand just enough to get my head around it. You know, I know a little about a lot of things, and it's just enough to make me dangerous. But this is a great economics 101. But it's also funny. And the thing is, most people learn stuff like that through things like humorous cartoons, jokes. You know, what I know about the economy, I learned from Yes Minister this, and occasionally watching the last 20 minutes of the news. It's not. I know the cause and effect the economy has. I don't understand the details of it. I'm not a maths person. That's not for me. But I like this one because it lays it out very clearly. And what we essentially see in this book is the boom bust cycle. And I think teaching kids that from a young age. No wonder France has got so many unions.
This is
They've all read this book and gone, oh, that doesn't work.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's a brilliant little dig at capitalism. I wish more. As I said going in, this is my favourite of the Asterix books. This is my absolute favourite. This is the one I read time and time again when I was a kid. I just couldn't get enough of this one. So, next week, I believe we're going to your channel. We're doing Asterix in Belgium. Is the next one.
Oh,
and the significant. Now, I don't know. I can't remember if I have read this or not. What I do know about this book is it is a bit of a significant one because this during the writing of this particular story, René Goscinny died. So
it's his last one.
This is going to be the last Goscinny and Uderzo story next week.
Yeah.
So it could be interesting. So we're seeing, and then we get into this sort of era when Albert Uderzo both wrote and now, I mean, a lot of people said in a way that after Goscinny was involved, that the sort of golden era of the comics kind of, that they weren't quite as good afterwards. So we're going to sort of see. We're going to sort of see how that goes. But I've got to admit, most of the Uderzo I haven't read many of the ones that Uderzo wrote alone. I'll put it that way.
So I don't know. Do we want to continue and do the Uderzo ones just as is?
We could,
or do we want to say? Or we'll say, you know, we'll do next week, and then we'll say season 2, the Uderzo years.
I think we could. I think we'll do that. I mean, we can. Yeah, we'll do that, and then we can maybe just we could find something else to review. I don't know what you know.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that though.
I'm sure we can.
Right, I better sum this up because we're gonna. I don't want to keep Ring hanging around too long. So.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. Don't flood the market. Pay attention to them, and don't listen to yuppies who try and blind you with gobbledygook. Are the lessons from this one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the main lesson from this one is yuppies can't be trusted, which is a political statement all its own.
Heap big yuppies not to be trusted. You savvy. Okay. Well, I think that's a good enough note. That's a good note to sign off of.
Yeah.
All right. So I shall see you guys later. I'll just say salute. Hissy, tagline.
Take care, be good, and as always, if you can't be good, be careful.